not everyone's suffering. There have been some results for some people. The liberal club of power brokers, lobbyists, and insiders are getting richer than ever, making everyone else poor. The Carney condo bailout is just the latest example. And why is he bailing out these condo developers who've made billions over the last several decades? Well, and I quote, the developers don't want to sell at a loss. Who does? Somebody's going to lose money, right? The government inflated the housing market into a bubble, and now the bubble burst. So who's going to pay the price? Mark Carney wants you, the welder, the waitress, the barber, the small business person, to pay through your taxes to bail out his developer friends. You, the people who acted responsibly, you, the ones who've been suffering with high prices, you're the ones that the Carney Liberals want to pay this price. Ironically, it's the opposite of what he says. He says that this is a policy to make housing affordable. How does bidding up the cost of condos and competing with home buyers to buy them make it more affordable? It's exactly the opposite. He's making home ownership even more difficult by forcing taxpayers to pay through their taxes to bid against themselves when they try to buy a home. It came out this week, and it's not just the condo bailout. It came out this week that 18 executives now exist at the Phantom Alto rail project. This is a rail project that will not probably be built for decades, but somehow they already have 18 executives, and they've given out $2.8 million of bonuses. For what? There's no route, there's no start date, there's no private investment, there's no building company, and somehow Mr. Carney believes that these executives have performed well enough to get $2.8 million of taxpayers' money in the form of bonuses. Mr. Carney is building an economy of carve-outs, bailouts, and handouts for the club, and higher costs, debt, and taxes for everyone else. That is the result. The Liberal club gets a bonanza, and you get the bill. Meanwhile, he expects you and the media to run infomercials for him every time someone in his government sends a fax, holds a meeting, or fills out a form. Yesterday, hilariously, or perhaps depressingly, a Liberal minister held a press conference to announce that 3 projects that have been languishing for a decade will now be eligible for consultation on possibly being designated to have their permit application moved from one federal bureau to another federal bureau, after which there will be more consultation, more deliberation, and more study. There has never been, in the history of this country, a government that has had so much publicity for bureaucratic busy work. But bureaucratic busy work does not actually build an economy. What does is the federal government and its bureaucracy getting out of the way. Get out of the way and repeal the anti-development laws. Get out of the way and grant permits for construction to begin. Get out of the way and scrap the industrial carbon tax. Get out of the way and off the backs of builders, investors, and workers. He doesn't need to sign yet another meaningless memorandum that is unenforceable and entirely symbolic. It's actually incredible. After a year of traveling the world, which, by the way, I support Mr. Carney traveling. If he could come back with results for Canadians, I would think it would be terrific. How many new trade agreements has he negotiated? I mean real ones, not the fake, flimsy press releases he comes back. Actual free trade agreements has he negotiated? 0. 0. He signed one that Trudeau had negotiated, to Trudeau's credit, with Indonesia, which is worth $400 million, about 5 hours of trade with the U.S. But other than that, not one new trade agreement anywhere around the world. On crime, Mr. Carney has kept Liberal bail in place, and worse, he has introduced a get-out-of-jail-free card. His bill, C-16, allows judges to exempt the worst criminals from mandatory prison sentences and turn them loose on our streets. Lower sentences for rape, for robbery, for extortion, and other serious crimes. That means criminals who would previously have been stuck behind bars under conservative mandatory minimums will be turned free under Carney's law. The tough talk is all an illusion. The result is more crime on our streets. The illusion of Mr. Carney is about to collide with the reality. He's been wrong on every major issue. He was wrong on the carbon tax Wrong to write in his book that we should keep half our oil in the ground. Wrong to testify against pipelines to the Pacific. Wrong to predict COVID would lead to declining inflation. Wrong to support money printing deficits that led to the subsequent inflation. Conservatives have been right on all of these issues, and we're going to continue to fight for the Canadian people. We're going to fight for an affordable, safe, and strong country. This session of Parliament, we fought to expose the illusions and to get results for Canadians, and we did. We fought against the government's policy on medical assistance in dying for mental illness and forced a multi-partisan committee to recommend that that policy not go ahead, and that we work to provide mental health to people to save their lives. We also passed Frank Laputo's bill, which will mean a serious crackdown on men who abuse women. We exposed the Prescribe IT scandal. We also pushed forward with a law by Andrew Lawton to eliminate the GST on all used cars, and to do so by eliminating the Alto rail disaster and using the savings to put it in the pockets of people who actually need to buy a vehicle. And a new bill from Shakao, our member of parliament from the Lower Mainland, which will stop drug kingpins in their tracks, put them in jail, and give them life sentences so that we can keep people safe. Mr. Au's bill is inspired by the tragedy of Emily Liu, a 14-year-old girl whose life was cut short by fentanyl. The bill targets the traffickers and makers of these deadly drugs, not Canadians struggling with addiction. The people who knowingly traffic these poisons should be locked up forever, because you deserve to know your children are safe. You deserve a government that is affordable, so we've pushed for cutbacks to bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, corporate welfare, handouts to fake and phony refugees to bring down inflation, taxes, and debt. We want you to be able to afford your life, and we will fight every day in every way to make that happen. So keep the fight alive and keep the hope alive.